they used to go fishing down at the end of Heap all the time. And people can't comprehend it now because no one was doing it, right? No one was fishing for them. We used to go down and we would fill up the back of a half ton in an afternoon. And Reggie Waterman used to take him and smoke him. He was the only guy in town that was doing it. So it didn't affect the fishery. But Kenny Waterman and I would be the frog catchers. We'd go catch the bait while those guys were fishing offshore because everyone fished offshore. No one had boats. So I was telling you earlier, I remember 4 or 5 years old being down there catching frogs and, well, I want to catch a fish. Like, this catching frogs is great, but I want to catch a fish. I no, why can't we catch them? And then watch Chuck pull up like a 30-pounder. I'm going to catch frogs. That thing is going to pull me in the river and eat me. So, yeah, I mean, that's, so it started from a really early age. And that was one of the very first things that when Babe started asking Chuck about how he got into doing this, he was always very adamant about, I've been doing this most of my life, and this is who showed me. He didn't want the accolades. He didn't want anything like, this is just something we do. You happen to have a program where you had a fishing pattern contest, and he sent in for it. And then, I mean, the story that I was told was that Babe was on his way up to Ontario to go muskie fishing, heard about Chuck's pattern, said it couldn't possibly be true because they don't get channel cats this size down there, so basically called, bullshit on it or whatever. And then saw the pictures and went, those muskie can wait. I've done lots of shows on them, and came up. And it's funny because he rolled into town with like a $60,000 or $60,000 Lund fishing rig and went, okay, so let's go fishing. And everybody's like, oh, this is going to be great. No, we're fishing offshore. This was your pattern. We'll do this later, but we're doing this now. So, and they fished actually right down the hill across the funeral home. Beside it there was Roy and June Gilbart's yard at Wes and Leander there now. But that's where the show was filmed. So if you ever get a chance to watch the video, you'll hear a whole pile of laughing in the back. Yeah, that was like 8 of us sitting up on top of the hill looking down and watching the eyes on Babe when the first catfish, the first time he ever saw a bite, he was just dumbfounded. Because it was so simple. I mean, literally all this terminal tackle that's out there now, we used a hook and a weight and a frog and casted it out and put it down on top of a rock and put a rock on top of it, and then you sat there and waited. There's very simple. So the first, I remember him asking Chuck, well, how will you know, like when you got a bite, like do they just nibble or do they just kind of slowly take line? And as he's saying that, Chuck smiles and points at his rod, and it was just, yeah, that was the first time I've ever heard, like, holy buckets. Well, that's when you hear all the caterwauling up. Did he just say that? Oh yeah, it's TV. Okay, it's TV. So, and I know they did a bunch of editing on that show too, but because there was a lot of holy what?